I screamed, drowning in the water. Well, okay, I wasn't drowning. I was just pretending to get some rich guy's attention because it was a beach for wealthy people. I had to pay an outrageous amount of money to get in. I spent all my savings. Plus, I had to sneak money out of my mom's purse to get onto this beach and pretend to be drowning. A guy came running towards me. He picked me up and then dropped me back in the water. "You're insane. It's shallow here," he said, standing waist deep in water. Yeah, I should have gone further in. Only problem is, I don't really know how to swim. Hi, my name is Christine, and I'm a gold digger. I mean, nature gifted me with great looks, good brains, and hopeless poverty. My parents are very smart people, and they could have built a great career. But my father always said that money ruins families and corrupts people. I don't feel the same way because I think money is the main purpose in life. It's what makes it possible to go to cool places, eat well, look stunning, and maintain good health. And it made me angry that I was living in poverty. Watching different TikToks, I was insanely jealous of them. They were rich and famous, and I was a nobody. But at one crucial moment, I realized I couldn't go on like this. It happened when I blew off another admirer. He was also from a poor family, and I wasn't interested in guys like this. At that moment, my brain came up with a genius idea. Why don't I go chasing after millionaires? I'm so beautiful and charming and clever. I am sure that I will easily achieve my goal. But how naive and foolish I was to think that a millionaire could easily fall into my net. In the first place, I looked for them on social networks and wrote them messages, but they didn't like my cat memes at all. Some of them would just blow me right off. Then I looked at my profile from the outside, and I was horrified. Well, of course, only poor people take such pictures. Naturally, it would scare away rich guys from my page. But when I photoshopped the Leaning Tower of Pisa into the background, millionaires were reluctant to respond. And then they were silent. So I decided to act radically. I would no longer write to them and will seek a face-to-face meeting. When I read on the internet that a social gathering was going to take place in our town, I decided, by all means, to get there. I didn't have an invitation, but if I pretend to be a celebrity, I'm sure they'll let me in. I put on a wig and did a little makeup. I went to the building where the event was to take place. "Name," the guard said dryly. "Don't you recognize me?" I pretended to be indignant. "The whole world knows my name. I'm Billie Eilish." "Oh, I'm sorry, miss. I didn't recognize you." The guard scratched his head and looked at the list. "But your name's not on the guest list." "I know, jerk, because I'm not a guest. I'm going to perform." The security guard was instantly embarrassed and walked away from the entrance. But then a strong wind came up and blew the wig off my head. And that wasn't the worst of it. A few seconds later, the real Billy appeared. "We've got the double again," the guard said into the radio. They grabbed me right away and tossed me into a dumpster. Those jerks, they're getting in the way of my happiness. I didn't kill myself over the situation and immediately started to think of a new plan. In a movie I saw, a gold digger purposefully threw herself in front of a convertible, and that helped her meet a rich, handsome man. I decided to do the same. I went to a restaurant with a bunch of cool cars parked outside, and as one of them pulled out of the parking lot, I immediately jumped in front of it. "Miss, are you all right?" A guy jumped out of his Lamborghini right away. "Oh, no, I think I hurt my arm. How am I going to play the violin now?" I answered in a squeaky voice, and just to be sure, I let out a tear. "Stu, what's wrong?" A girl came out of the car with a baby in her arms. Oh man, this is an awkward situation. "You know, I feel so much better already. I must have overheated in the sun. I think I'm going to go home." And I ran off without even looking back. Somehow I didn't think about the fact that millionaires could be married. Well, now I'd have to plan more carefully. However, the stunt with the car did not teach me anything, because soon I decided to pull a stunt on the beach. And as you know, it didn't work. What's more, the guy made fun of me in front of his buddies. Yeah, I guess now I'm the laughingstock of the rich. I was also kicked out of my house by my mom for stealing the money, because it was meant to pay off the loan. Where am I supposed to get it now? My mom broke down. Don't worry, Mom. Soon we'll have so much money that we'll pay off the car loan at once, I replied nonchalantly. Why did you take it in the first place? Christine, what does all this mean? Mom wouldn't let it go. You'll find out soon enough. Just trust me. I had a few bucks left in my pocket, so I went to a secondhand store that often sold brand name clothes. And my luck turned around, because there was a Christian Siriano dress on a mannequin. I also saw a Louis Vuitton handbag. Oh, what a bargain! And it was so cheap. I bought all these outfits and decided to wear them to the opening of the Museum of Modern Art. A lot of high lifes show up there, but not for the love of art. It's for publicity. You can pretend to be one of them and meet someone. And when I got there, I was immediately noticed by this guy. I looked him over, and I could tell he was crazy rich. A gorgeous suit, a confident smile, and an expensive watch on his wrist. At first, I pretended not to notice him, until he came up to me when I was looking at the picture of Rick and Morty. Seriously? That's modern art? It totally sucks, he said. I agree. My name is Jeff. What's yours? I'm Christine. I smiled at him sweetly, and I purposely lifted my Louis Vuitton bag so he could see it. Are you here for the publicity too? I asked. Of course, but it's so dull and boring here. Why don't we go to a restaurant? Naturally, I said yes. After all, I've been dreaming of hooking up with a rich man, and I finally succeeded. If he'd asked me to go to the moon or drink from a puddle, I would have said yes. Dinner was wonderful, until Jeff called the manager. What the hell is that doing on my plate? He was indignant and pointed to the glass in the salad. What am I paying you money for? Have your cooks gone completely blind? What if I hurt myself? Or my lovely companion hurt herself? I'm sorry, Mr. Sorry. I'll drag you through courts. You bet I will. No, please don't ruin the reputation of our restaurant. The whole dinner will be on us. Do you think I'll ever eat at your place again? We'll bring you new dishes, the best one. The receptionist gibbered nervously, and I think I fell in love with Jeff right at that moment. He knows he's got the whole world at his feet, and he's taking advantage of it. If only my parents were such successful businessmen, I would have behaved exactly the same way, and I wouldn't have been afraid of anything. After dinner, we walked around town. I was confused by the fact that we were walking, not riding in a car, but Jeff explained it by saying that he just likes to walk and that he cared about the environment. We walked up to the luxury mansion and said goodbye, and then I went home. Of course, I'm not going to let Jeff walk me to my real house just yet, otherwise he's sure to dump a lowlife like me. He added me as a friend on social media, and I've been looking at his pictures with envy. In one of them, Jeff was standing next to the Tower of Pisa too, only this one was real, not photoshopped like mine. Well, he'll fall in love with me soon, and we'll take pictures together, and also on some islands, and of course Paris. The next day, Jeff took me on a picnic. I love nature so much, and this cool park. It's quiet, and no one recognizes me, he said. I liked his easygoing nature, so it would be a lot easier to make him fall in love with me. But I didn't expect a guy to confess his love to me on the same day. When I saw your eyes, I drowned in them, like in an endless sea. You're a ray of light in my life, Christine, he said, and he took me by the hand. Yeah, I think I love you too, I lied. Well, I'm not going to tell him the truth, because this naive fool has lost his head over me, which means I'll soon be living in a luxury mansion with him. Jeff had been surprising me for days, and I've been waiting for him to give me gold jewelry or brand name clothes. I kept hinting at it, but apparently Jeff doesn't take hints at all. And then I decided to let him walk me back to my real home, to tell him the truth about me, and no more lies about my parents being oil tycoons who have their own island. And when we got to my old house, Jeff was shocked. And then he got angry. Yeah, I know I was wrong. I lied to you. I'm sorry, but I was so embarrassed. Aren't you rich? No. I remembered the worst day of my life to make me cry. And I wasted so much time on you when I could have kept on chasing rich girls, he shouted. What? I got angry. What are you talking about? I chase silly millionaire girls. I myself live in complete poverty. I want a life of luxury, but I fell for you. Oh, I'm such a fool. I fell for secondhand clothes even though I bought my own there. Are you saying you're poor too? I suddenly found myself laughing. I realized that Jeff had planted the glass in his own plate. We're both idiots because I was after the same thing. I laughed so infectiously that Jeff started laughing with me. After that incident, we continued to talk and even shared with each other our plans of catching millionaires, one of which I successfully took advantage of because I hooked up with a real rich guy. Except he was a pimply, bespectacled nerd who couldn't even say 2 words. Sorry, I've never been on a date, he said when we were flying in the helicopter and he was telling me about the Earth's atmosphere. I thought I was going to fall asleep and fall out of that helicopter. Believe me, I didn't even mind. At least I could have some fun. After my boring date, I went to see Jeff, and he came back from a meeting too. He wasn't happy about hooking up with the ugly, nerdy girl. You won't believe this, Jeff, but neither was I laughed. We talked about our dates at the same burger place with candles on the table, whether it was the candlelight that was so perfect, or if Jeff was always like that. But he seemed like a cool, interesting guy, even if he wasn't rich. Christine, since we have such bad luck with millionaires, why don't we try to start a relationship and get rich together? Jeff suggested. I said yes, and I kissed him. That's my story. You shouldn't waste your time on people who aren't at your level. It's better to pay attention to those who are close to you. Would you want to date a millionaire? Write your answers in the comments, like the video, and share it with your friends.